Should you wrap a brand new car? It's one of the most common questions we get, and I want to give you the real answer, not the sales answer. So here's where I'll start. Yes, a new car is genuinely the best possible candidate for a wrap, and that's not me trying to talk you into anything, that's just how the material works. Let me explain why, because once you understand it, everything else in this conversation makes sense. Vinyl is only as good as what it sticks to. That's the whole thing in one sentence. Factory paint on a new car is smooth, it's clean, it hasn't been contaminated by anything, and it doesn't have the chips and swirls and oxidation that force us to do a bunch of correction work before we can even start. So the vinyl lays down cleaner. The edges tuck tighter around the panels, and the finished result looks a lot closer to actual paint than a wrap on a beat-up car ever will. But there's a second part to this that people don't think about until it's too late. Take a car that's been sitting in the Louisiana sun for 3 years. That clear coat has already started breaking down at a microscopic level. You might not see it yet, but it's happening. The adhesive still bonds to it. It just bonds to a layer that's already compromised. Now compare that to a car with 400 miles on the odometer. There's nothing between that adhesive and healthy, solid, clear coat. And here's where that really matters: removal day. Wrap that goes on sound paint peels off years later with zero damage. Wrap that goes on failing clear coat. It can lift flakes of that clear coat right off with it. Same product, same installer, completely different outcome. It all comes down to what was underneath. There's also this thing people forget: you're locking in the paint at a condition it will never be in again. That new car has exactly one day where the paint is perfect, and it's the day you drive it off the lot. Everything after that is decline. A wrap freezes that. Now there's one timing rule, and it's important. If your car has been repainted or a panel got resprayed at a body shop, you need to wait. Fresh refinish paint keeps releasing solvents for somewhere around 30 to 60 days, depending on the product and the booth it was sprayed in. If you seal that off under vinyl too early, you trap that gas underneath the film. And it shows up as bubbles. Not right away either, it shows up later after you've already paid for the job. Factory paint though, straight off the assembly line, it's fully cured, no waiting period at all. You could wrap it the same week you buy it. Alright, so let's talk about why people actually do this to a brand new car. The biggest one is color. Most factory palettes give you 4 options, 6 if you're lucky, and half of those are white, black, silver, and some shade of gray. That's it, that's the menu. A full color change in vinyl opens up satin finishes, matte finishes, gloss, color-shifting films that look different depending on the angle you're standing at. None of that exists on a dealer order sheet. But the part that actually closes the deal for most people is reversibility. You get tired of it in 3 years, the car goes right back to the original factory color underneath. Try doing that with a repaint, you can't. Second reason, resale value, and this one's very much a New Orleans conversation. What kills paint value? Sun and road grit, and we've got both here in serious quantities. Summer UV baking down on Loyola Avenue does real damage over a few years. Salt spray coming off the causeway does its own kind of damage. Your hood and your front bumper take the worst of it. A wrap takes that abuse instead of your clear coat. It's a sacrificial layer. Then when you pull it off before you sell or trade, the paint underneath is a whole lot closer to showroom than the same car that spent 5 years sitting out uncovered. That difference shows up in what somebody's willing to pay you. Third reason, and this is a big one around here, work vehicles. A new van or a new truck is the natural moment for branding. Think about it, you get the graphics on that service vehicle before it ever enters rotation. No downtime, you're not pulling a working truck off a job for 2 days to get it wrapped. It goes straight from wrap to earning. And if you're adding a few vehicles at once, that's usually a matched fleet package so the branding stays consistent across every single unit. Same layout, same colors, same everything. Looks intentional instead of accidental. Now let's clear up something people mix up constantly: wrap versus paint protection film. These are not the same product and they don't do the same job. Vinyl wrap changes your appearance and it shields against UV and light abrasion. Paint protection film is a thicker urethane and it's built to absorb rock strikes. That's its whole purpose. So color change: wrap changes your color, film doesn't, it's clear. On rock chip defense, wrap gives you light protection, film gives you heavy protection. Lifespan, you're looking at roughly 5 to 7 years on a wrap, 7 to 10 on film. Coverage is usually the full vehicle for a wrap versus just the impact zones for film, hood, bumper, mirrors, fenders, and film costs more per square foot. Plenty of owners run both, honestly. Clear film on the front end where the rocks hit, color vinyl over the rest of the body. Best of both. Let me also be straight with you about what wrapping a new car will not do. It won't void your factory warranty. Vinyl is a removable surface layer. It doesn't touch your powertrain, doesn't touch your electronics. Anyone who tells you otherwise is guessing. It won't fix bad prep either. Even on brand new paint, we still have to strip off the dealer's sealant and any wax coating because vinyl will not bond through a slick surface. Skip that step and you'll see it in 6 months. And it won't stop damage that reaches the metal. If somebody's backing out of a parking garage and puts a deep gouge in your door, that goes through vinyl and paint alike. Wrap isn't armor. Let's talk money because a full wrap on a new car is a real expense, and not everybody needs every panel covered. Full wrap is every painted panel, and on higher-end jobs that includes the door jambs. Highest cost, best result, no question. Partial coverage is a hood, roof, and mirror package. Gives you real contrast and presence without paying for the whole car. Trim only is a blackout of the chrome window surrounds and the badges. And I'll tell you dollar for dollar that might be the highest impact change on this whole list. It's cheap and it completely changes how the car reads. Then there's custom work, printed designs, racing stripes, one-off layouts. That's its own category. One more thing, if you're still inside a finance agreement or a lease, vinyl is fine because it comes off. Just plan the removal before your return date. Don't leave it to the last week. Now the Gulf Coast factor, because this matters more here than almost anywhere else. Louisiana humidity affects install conditions more than most climates do. Vinyl needs a controlled indoor bay. Moisture sitting on that panel surface interferes with adhesion, and big temperature swings make the material behave unpredictably while you're working it. So if somebody quotes you a wrap done outdoors or in an open carport around here, they're setting you up for lifting edges by the following summer. That's not a maybe, that's what happens. Heat drives material choice too. Dark matte finishes absorb noticeably more heat than gloss does, and that shortens their service life in a city that runs 90 degrees and humid from June clear through September. So is it worth doing? If you want a different color, yes, and doing it now beats doing it in 4 years for every reason we just covered. If your goal is purely protection, I'd be honest with you, a quality ceramic coating or front-end film might serve you better for less money. And if the vehicle earns its keep, branding it before the first job pays for itself faster than almost anything else you can put on that truck. If you want a straight answer for your specific car, come see us. We're Car Wrap New Orleans, our shop's on Rousseau Street, and you can reach us at 504-766-3480. Bring the car by or just call and describe it. We'll tell you honestly which option actually fits what you're trying to accomplish, even if that means talking you out of the expensive one.